Okay, so let's see if this works. Let's try to make TikTok work. We're having problem. Yeah, you're having problem going to my
I
Tik.
think we're live.
Oh no, we're
Just bear with us,
we are
folks. We'll be
definitely
with you
not.
in just 1 second.
No, you know what? It's oh, that's why I'm hearing myself in echo on YouTube on the YouTube channel. Well, that's not annoying at all. Let's just start it right now. I'll figure out TikTok later. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico, and I am your in-house conservative. And right there should be Rob, our Turkin lefty. And together we speak about what's trending in the news. Our goal, very simple. We want to show you that the left and the right can get along, even if we disagree, because common sense has no political affiliation. What's going on, bro? And here we are. For the people out there that are live, can you tell me if you
After
can
weekend.
see Rob? Is Rob, for the people out there, is Rob completely frozen or is it me that's lagging? Because I'm not hearing what you're saying, bro. So I don't know if it's me or if it's you.
I don't from my end. Usually when it freezes, I freeze it on my end.
Hopefully the people, anybody that's listening to this, do you mind commenting and letting us know if there is a lag on your side? Does it seem to be laggy on my side? Does it seem to be laggy on Rob's side? Because obviously, as you can tell, he's not home. He's at his girlfriend. So I'm trying to figure out what the issue is. So guys listening to this, I'm asking for your help.
Yeah,
Let
it's
me
all right.
know
We'll get there. We'll get there. I got my girlfriend there to check online, see which of us is lagging.
Well, she won't know if
good.
she's on the. Yeah, she won't know because she's local to you, man. She is not the right person to ask. That's why I'm asking the people that are live because they would be able to tell us.
She's just looking at us on her Twitter account.
Yeah, I don't think you understand what I'm saying, man. Again, technology is not your thing, as we've discussed before. But I would love for some people to give me on the left side of the screen. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. No, we got confirmation, Rob, that it's lagging on your side. Thanks, Dancing Shadowtail, for answering that question. Much appreciated. So what do you want? It seems to me that Rob's side is the one that's lagging. Yeah, he seems to be completely frozen right now. Normally he does actually move a tiny bit. So here we go. Rob's out, but you know what? Let's start. We'll wait for Rob. Rob will join us eventually. But I want to ask you, since you guys are here, I want to ask you the question of the day. I want to ask you, should citizens call out their leaders when they disagree with them, even if they voted for them? That's your question. Should citizens call out their leaders even if they voted for them? If you disagree with your leader and you voted for him or her, does that mean you don't get to call them out? Or because they work for you, they work for me, they work for us, we should hold our leaders accountable? That's the question I have for you guys. Now, well, we already have a comment, so you might as well get to it. Dancing Snowtail, hold on, let me show this for the people to see. Dancing Snowtail is saying, now, we don't often agree on everything, but I do agree that tribalism is not the answer here. We might not agree on everything, but we definitely agree on that one, brother. Couldn't agree with you more. And you know, this is why I think it's a great conversation for us to have, and that's why I wanted this to be the subject today, Rob, especially considering that you're more left, I'm more right. And in my opinion, if it wasn't for the fact that liberals and Democrats have allowed their party to go so far woke, people wouldn't have left the Democrat Party to go vote for a guy like Donald Trump in the US. Like, if the liberals and the Democrats were not ready to speak up against their party and to stand up for what was wrong, this leads to what we've seen. This leads to people becoming totally alienated from their parties, just like the name of this show. There's a good reason why we called it the Political Orphans, because as much as Rob is a lefty, as much as I'm more conservative in nature, both sides don't really represent us anymore. Like most of you, and this again, I will throw the ball to you guys. Do you find that your party, I don't care that you're a more liberal or more Democrat, or that you are more Republican or more conservative, do you feel that your party right now represents your value? Because that's what is going on right now. This is the whole point of this podcast, is to show that not only do we feel that our parties don't represent us anymore, but that we also are responsible for speaking up. And you tell me, do you speak up against your party even though you might have voted for them? Now let's go back here. Dancing Snowtail, Shadowtail. Why am I calling you Snowtail? It's probably because it's snowing in Canada and that's all I have in my head. Sorry, bro. Dancing Shadowtail. It's not the woke, it's the lack of teamwork. You know, that's interesting. I would like for you, I know it's not the easiest thing to do by text, but I would like you to go into more details as to what you mean by that, because that's very interesting. I believe it's the woke. I believe it's because we lost, or because the left, liberals and Democrats have lost common sense. They let their feelings run their country, or run their party, should I say, instead of their common sense. And we ended up in the situation in which we are right now, or which the left is in. So please explain to me what you mean by it's not the woke, it's the lack of teamwork. Really curious to see what you mean. For the other people that are out there, same thing applies to you. Will you call out your leaders when you disagree with them, even though you voted for them? And I want to see what you think about this. So let me know. Let us know in the comments below. Yeah. And you know, here it is. First and foremost, I think we should both agree on something. We should agree on what the definition of tribalism, or at least political tribalism, is. Before we even get into that conversation, let's agree on a definition, so that we make sure that we're talking about the same thing here. Here's a quick definition I found this morning. Political tribalism is when people strongly identify with a political group, like a party, ideology, or movement, to the point where loyalty to that group becomes more important than independent thinking or considering opposing viewpoints. It is often led, or it often leads to an us versus them mentality, where people see those who disagree as enemy rather than fellow citizens with different opinions. So at the end of the day, this is it. You give so much loyalty to your party that, one, you can't see anything wrong that party does, but also you are seeing your opposition, so people from the other side of the aisle, as your enemy, instead of remembering that they are also fellow citizens. And as Rob and I have spoken about many times already, it is not because we disagree on certain subject that we're enemies, first and foremost. But second, we probably agree on about 80%. If you're somewhere, if you look at the bell curve, where most 65 to 70% of people sit somewhere in the middle politically, we often agree on about 80% of things. So we agree on 80, yet we normally don't take the time to speak about it. We'd rather argue about the 20% that we disagree on. And again, this was the whole point of this podcast of Rob and I, is to be able to address that 80%, what we actually agree on, and be able to debate politely on the 20% that we don't agree. Rob seems to be there. Rob seems to not be as laggy as he was earlier. Cling your eye, like blink your eyes, bro. I want to make sure that you actually. Well, he's hearing what I'm saying. So, what do you think about this? Do you think that, at least confirm what I'm saying or disagree with me, that the whole point of this is to show that we probably agree on somewhere
Yeah,
80% of
I can
things?
hear you. I think I got to figure it out for the most part.
So go for it. If you can, you still hear me? Because now you're completely frozen on the screen. There you
go. But sorry, what? I just caught the last little bit. Just get me up to speed here. We should be good from now on.
Basically, what I said is I gave a quick definition of political tribalism, as in when your party is more important than criticizing them. Then, and here we go again. Rob is lagging, and
no, I'm here.
Oh, you're there? Awesome. So basically, political tribalism.
Can you not see me?
No, not now. I can see you, but you disappeared for a little while. But political tribalism as to when your group, ideology, party is more important than independent thinking. When it's almost like your party can do no wrong, and then you start looking at the other side of the aisle as your enemy, instead of remembering that they are fellow citizens with different perspective. And as you and I keep on showing episode after episode after episode, that even though we might not be on the same political spectrum, we are still capable of agreeing on what we agree and disagreeing. And when we disagree, we just have a conversation about it, like two adults who can be polite and educated on their opinions. This is pretty much where we're at. So if you can hear me, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Oh boy. And here we are. I don't think he can hear me. Or at least, guys, can you, all the people on the live, can you tell me if you're able to see Rob on my, it would be my right? Yeah, it would be on my right. If you guys are able to see Rob, if you're able to hear him, because I can't. And it seems that he's having issues with his internet connection, but I want to make sure. I want to see what you guys are seeing, what you guys are what you guys are seeing. So let me know, and we'll continue. He is okay. Dancing Shadow Tell, thank you. So he is frozen. Did you get that? Hold on, I'll bring up your new comment. Thanks for interacting, brother. I'm always looking to speak to people, speak to the listeners, and that invites the rest of you guys to jump in with your opinion about what we're talking about right now. Dancing Snowtail, a Shadowtail, sorry. Wow, why am I saying Snowtail? Dancing Shadowtail. What I meant is the tribalism means compromise between parties is less likely. Yeah, absolutely. If that's what you meant, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. This is basically the definition as to when your party's alliance is more important than common sense, critical thinking, and then you start seeing your fellow citizens as enemies instead of just that, fellow citizens with a different opinion. And I'll tell you, this is where this whole conversation started, because I was laying in bed at like 4:00 in the morning, and I always start catching up with the news first thing in the morning, and I saw a post. So this is Canadian politics, but it doesn't change the fact that this will happen on the left, like this will happen in the US, this will happen in Canada, this will happen everywhere, as when you put tribalism, when you put your tribe in front of critical thinking. But I was on X this morning, and here is the post that kind of that I think it was the first post I saw this morning. I don't know the person, I have no clue who that guy is. I will share my screen. Share screen, bang, bang. Here we go. So you guys should be able to see my screen right now. And it was a post this morning from a guy called Jason Scott. No idea who that guy is. But basically, what he's calling out Pierre Poilievre, which is the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, he would be the equivalent of the leader of the Republican in the US. So basically, what he said to Pierre Poilievre this morning is that he called out his hypocrisy regarding a post that Pierre Poilievre made a couple of weeks ago, I believe. I remember seeing this post, but basically, to put it into perspective, let me show you the actual post here. And this is the post. So you guys should be able to see my screen. But basically, what it says is it was Pierre Poilievre calling out Mark Carney, which is, chances are, the way it is right now, he will become the new Liberal Party, and he will become the Prime Minister of Canada by becoming the leader of the party. And his post says this: Pierre Poilievre says, trying to be a normal guy playing hockey in $2,000 shoes. He's just like Trudeau. Then you see a nice picture of the shoes in question. So this is to put perspective to this post. But basically, the post I saw this morning saying that Pierre Poilievre said Mark Carney's winter boots were too expensive. In the meanwhile, he just dropped $4,500 on 3 tickets to watch a hockey game. Now, the hockey game we're talking about here was the Four Nation face-off that took place this weekend, and that's still taking place. Like, the finals are not done yet, but he's talking about the match that both Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and Mr. Pierre Poilievre both attended on Saturday, February the 15th. He's basically calling Poilievre a hypocrite because he spent thousands of dollars on 3 tickets to attend a hockey game while calling out $2,000 shoes that Mark Carney was wearing. Let's be very clear here. I do not like Mark Carney. I think he's even worse than Justin Trudeau when it comes to his politics. I think if he becomes prime minister, he will destroy the economy more than Justin Trudeau's done over the past 10 years. This is how I feel about Carney. At the same time, I think that Pierre Poilievre, as a conservative, represents more my values, should I say, but not to a point where I agree with him 100%. Don't ever forget that. You'll never agree with somebody at 100%, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't call him out, right? And why this post is so important is this: Pierre Poilievre calls out Mark Carney for wearing expensive boots, $2,000 boots. Then he goes to a hockey game that this guy says costs $4,500 on 3 tickets. Now, because I don't believe everything that's on the internet, I did some research this morning, and I believe that guy's wrong. I don't believe that it cost $4,500, at least not the tickets, or at least not 3 tickets cost $4,500, because from what I could see, and this is as per, we were talking about sportsnews.com. As per sportsnews.com, the tickets for Saturday's game ranged between $215 to $1,600 plus tax, plus fees, which, depending on where you buy your tickets, can be anywhere between 10% to 40% of the final cost. So the cost I'm giving you right now, the $215 to $1,600, are just the cost of the ticket without those added fees. So I looked at that post. He's obviously not in the best seats in the house. He's not where Justin Trudeau was sitting, but at the same time, he is definitely not in the nosebleeds. And this is what you're seeing on your screen right now. Is, let me see if I can make this bigger. I believe I could, because I did earlier. There we go. So this is the Bell Center in Montreal. And here are the pricing. Like I actually found the pricing for this. Just I want to make sure that the information I'm giving you is not bullshit, is actually accurate. So as per the picture, by looking at it, he was definitely not in the nosebleeds. He was not in the 400 section that we see on the outside. To me, he was either in the 300 or in the 200, but he was not in the 100 sections. That I know. I've been to the Bell Center before, and I know this wasn't those. But I'm thinking he was in the 200, but for sake of argument, we'll use the 300. So we're looking in the 300 section right here. This is for 2 tickets. We're looking at $814.37 for 2 tickets. The guy said he had 3. I believe he had 4 because he seemed to be with the guy that was next to him. So you're talking anywhere between 1,250 to about almost 1,800 bucks for those tickets. That's without the fees, that there's $35.49, and that's probably for every ticket. But the point is that he probably spent at least 1,700 to 1,800 bucks on those tickets. And that's without counting, let's be honest here, going there isn't free. If you ever parked your car at an arena or took the taxi, you had to pay for that. You have traveling, you have the food, you have hotels, you have alcohol, you have food, you have whatever you're consuming there. So the point in the matter is, the guy does have a point. But let's say that it's half the cost, that it's less than half the cost there, because I just showed you how this is potentially between 20, like 1,300 bucks to 1,700 bucks. So for sake of argument, let's call it 2,000 bucks. So he basically spent the same price as the accused on. He spent the same price on those tickets, traveling, and the cost of food that Carney spent on a pair of boots. Which one's better? Which one's worse? Between you and I would never wear a $2,000 pair of boots, but I would spend $1,000 on one coat that will last me, like on the winter coat, that will last me 10 years, right? That to me makes sense. But the point is, how can Poliev call out Mark Carney for spending too much money on a pair of boots, yet you see him right here at a hockey game that cost him at least 1,300 bucks? And I'm assuming that he paid for it, that it wasn't his party or Canadian taxpayers that paid for it. I'm assuming that he did, because I have no reasons to believe that he did not. But is it not hypocritical for Pierre Poliev to call out Carney for something that he did that he didn't agree with, $2,000 boots? Yet he will spend almost that same amount of money or more, because again, I'm assuming that it was in the 300 section. But if you're looking, if we assume that he was in the 200 section, do they even have money? I don't think there were anyone left. 200, 200, 200. See, they didn't have any in the 200s that I can see here. But you're talking somewhere between you're talking somewhere between about $400 to $1,100 to $650, almost $650 per ticket. That's what we're talking about. So which one's better? Which one's worse? The point is that one called out the other while doing pretty much the exact same thing, except going to see a hockey game. This is hypocritical to me. And as much as I like Pierre Poliev a lot more than I do Mark Carney, it is still my responsibility as a taxpayer, as a voter, as a citizen, to call out my leaders and to say, you know what? I do not agree with what you're doing, because that is hypocritical. And I made a post about this morning, and I will show it to you afterwards, is look at where Mark Carney is. And I want to rephrase, I want to repeat this. I do not like Mark Carney. I do not agree with him. I think he's worse than Justin Trudeau. But can you imagine if instead of going to the game, Pierre Poliev would have stayed in Ottawa, because he had a big rally with a bunch of conservative people, like a bunch of conservative supporters, just regular people showed up in Ottawa during a winter storm, during a snowstorm, to attend one of his rallies. It was so packed that he had overflow room where people that wanted to be in the same room couldn't. It was packed. So that's how much support he actually got that day. But the point I'm trying to make here is this. Can you imagine if instead of leaving Ottawa where he gave his Canada First speech, instead of leaving Ottawa, going to Montreal to attend a hockey game, he would have instead stayed in Ottawa, partied or chilled or watched the game with all of his supporters that were there. Like, what would it have taken from him to have a few TVs that were showing the game and stay there with his own people, the people that went out of their ways to actually attend his rally? How different would that have been for just regular people like you and I? That your leader, the people that the person that you believe in, would have stayed with you guys, with us, if let's say I was there, and would have watched the game with us. Would just have been one of the guys, just another person. Because let's be honest here. In Canada right now, just so that we put this in perspective, in Canada right now, as per Statistic Canada, 8.7 million Canadians, or 23% of the Canadian population, is struggling to afford daily necessities like food, paying rent, electricity, heating. So 23, almost 1 out of 4 Canadians are struggling to pay their bills. And you have a party leader like Pierre Poilievre that is saying that he is one of the people, that he will cut the taxes, make it easier for the people to afford everyday commodities, or not commodities, my apologies, that he will make it easier, cheaper for Canadians to afford everyday necessities, which is a great thing. I agree with that 1,000% because Canadians are struggling. But imagine if he would have remembered that, and instead of spending thousands of dollars to attend a hockey game that most of us cannot afford to pay. I don't know the situation in which you find yourself in. And if you can afford those tickets, good for you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be allowed to go or to attend that game. That is not what I'm saying at all. Because you know what? That's his money. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. Just like you, if you thought that it was a good thing to spend that money on that game, good for you. I'm happy that you could afford it. That being said, can you imagine a politician that claims to be close to its people, to care about regular people like you and I, would have stayed behind with you and I and watched the game just like a regular person, just like any other person would? And this is the point, and I'm sorry this took forever to get here, but you got a guy in Mark Carney that I dislike. He watched the game from a pub. Like, look at this. He didn't go to the game like Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre did. He watched it from a pub somewhere with other, as far as I can tell, other people, just regular people. And it's not because he can't afford it. Because if I'm not mistaken, Mark Carney is richer than Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre combined. That dude is rich as shit. So it's not a problem of money. But this is my point once again, and I want to make sure that we both agree here, at least we understand each other, in that I do not like Mark Carney. I much prefer Pierre Poilievre. But why did Pierre Poilievre not take this as an opportunity to show how different he was from Justin Trudeau? How instead of spending thousands of dollars to go see a hockey game that most of us can't afford to see, why not stay behind with the people that showed up to his rally, watch the game with them, and just be one of the guys, just one of the people? That's the question I have. And is it our job to show, to actually call that out? Because I don't care that I agree with him on a lot more than I do Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney. The point in the matter is that if the leaders of my country are doing something that I disagree with, I will call them out. I will not be shy to call out people because I actually agree with them on most things or on many different things. Like I do not owe anything to the party I align more with, and neither do you, because this is tribalism. This is what happens when people put their parties before common sense, before critical thinking. And this is what I'm trying to show here. And yet, I posted about this on Instagram this morning, and you should have seen the hate that I'm getting. And I'm not getting that. The worst part is that I'm not getting the hate from the left. I'm getting hate from conservative people because they're basically telling me that by me pointing those things out, I am swaying votes to the left. By me criticizing the conservative, I'm helping the liberals. If you don't want to be losing votes, maybe you should check what you're doing. But that's not my point. My point is I don't have any affiliations to either the left or to the right. I want what's best for Canada, just like Americans want what's best for America. I don't care about the parties. I really couldn't give two shits about it. And that's never going to stop me, because this will never stop me because I don't care about political affiliations. This will always allow me to call out who's doing something wrong and to agree with when leaders are doing something right. And as you've seen in the past, Rob and I have spoken about lefty politicians like John Fetterman out of the US. He's a Democrat that I probably don't agree with on a lot. But when he's right, he's right. And because I don't owe anything to a political party, I can look at him and say, you know what, bro? I agree with what you're saying. I totally agree with you, even though I disagree on a lot of other things. And the same thing is I can look at a Donald Trump and say, you know what? I completely agree with what you're doing, or I disagree with what you're doing. I don't owe him anything. I don't owe political parties anything. They owe us. And this is, I think, the biggest problem that most citizens forget, is that those people work for us. We don't work for them. They work for us. We elect them to represent us. And the fact that you voted for that person doesn't prevent you in any way, shape, or form to disagree with them or to disagree with him. Call him out when he's right and agree with him when he's wrong. Or sorry, sorry, the complete opposite. If you disagree with him, call him out. If you agree with him, say so. But the fact you voted for him, you voted for him doesn't matter. You have to hold them accountable to their actions. They work for us, remember? No matter where you are, it doesn't matter. You're in Canada, you're in the US, you're in Europe, you're in Africa, you're in Australia right now. It doesn't matter. The people you elected work for you, not the other way around. So call them out on their bullshit. If they do something you don't agree with, call them out. If somebody from a different party does something you agree with, that doesn't say that doesn't mean that you have to disagree with them. Now, that being said, it seems like our friend Dancing Shadowtail has been posting the whole way through my rant here, and I apologize for my rant, but I want you guys to do like Dancing Shadowtail is doing right now, and I want you guys to address this. I want you guys to tell me what you think. It's good if you don't agree with me. It's okay. If you don't agree with me, awesome, let's talk about it. If you agree with me, awesome, let's talk about it. Tell me why. Tell me why you disagree with me. Tell me why you agree. This is the whole point of this. This is why Rob and I do this live. And if you're just joining us or you joined us in the middle of my rant and you're wondering why there's just one bald-headed guy today, is because Rob is at his girlfriend right now, and I think he's having internet problems because he was trying to connect earlier and it wasn't working out. So he disconnected a little while ago. I'm not sure what's happening right now, where he's at, but it seems that today you might be stuck with me. Sorry, not sorry. But let me know, as I was saying, let me know if you disagree with me. Let me know if you agree, and especially why. Please tell me why you disagree or why you agree. I want this to be a conversation. So let's go back to our friend Dancing Shadow Tell. I'm much more progressive than you. We argue about trans people all the time. Oh, well, yeah, but that's okay, man. Again, that's my whole point. You and I can disagree. That's fine. That's fine by me, man. I don't even agree with me from 6 months ago. Like there's things that I've said 6 months ago, a year ago. I know for a fact that I post so much content that I can go back to 6 months ago and say, you know what, Nico, you were wrong. And that's okay. You're never going to agree with somebody at 100%. If I can fucking agree with myself 100% from 6 months ago, what chances do you have to agree with somebody at 100%? They're very slim to zero. No chance in hell that you're going to agree with somebody at 100%. Now, but I really hate that everyone treats everyone else as enemies. You know what, brother? I couldn't agree with you more. And this is why Rob and I do this podcast. Is exactly right. You know what? I'm very grateful. Thank you, Dancing Shadowtail, for you to be writing comments right now, at least that I can see. I can't tell if I don't think I'm missing comments anywhere else. Just let me make sure here to I just want to make sure that I respond to absolutely everybody that leaves a comment, because again, this is exactly why we do it live, is to be able to speak with you guys, to be able for us to have a conversation. But at the same time, from what I can see here, I don't believe I have comments on other platforms. So let's address what Dancing Shadowtail is saying. That's the last one, but I'll read it. But I really hate that everyone treats everyone else as enemies. I agree, man. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm all for calling out our leaders if you don't agree with them, but this is a distraction. This has nothing to do with policies and positions. It is an attack on the person itself. This entire argument is ridiculous. It has nothing to do with policy position. Not everything is a political message. Sometimes people just want to do their own things. You know what? I'll stop it there because I think that you have more. Oh no, hold on. No, let's continue. Please do continue to call people out, but remember that not all battles are worth fighting. I'm calling you out for that mistake, smiley face with the tongue. I get a bit excited. All good, brother. I understand what you're saying, and I'll address it the way I see it. So if we go back to what you said, because I went through 7 of your messages one after the other, but you basically said that I was wrong. Let me just find. Oh, there you go. So this is where you said I was wrong. At least you don't agree with me. I'm all for calling out our leaders if they don't agree. If we don't agree, let me rephrase. Let me retry. I am all for calling out our leaders if you don't agree with them, but this is a distraction. This has nothing to do with policies and positions. It is an attack on the person itself. The entire argument is ridiculous. It has nothing to do with policy positions. I get what you're saying. And this is basically what I was getting this morning on the post I made on Instagram. But here is why I'm talking about this. This is why it actually matters, because actions speak louder than words. It is very easy to go in front of a camera and just say what you stand for. It's very easy to do that. To just say out loud what you stand for, but you judge someone not by their words, but by their actions. And Polyev himself, what started this whole post this morning that I made on Instagram and gave us the idea for this show, is the fact that Polyev, on one hand, called out Carney, the liberals, the conservative leader, called out the potential new liberal leader saying that he is just like Trudeau because he wears $2,000 winter boots. If I look at the price that he probably paid, Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader, paid for his hockey tickets are probably very close, maybe even more expensive than the pair of boots that Mark Carney was wearing. So he calls out a guy for wearing boots that he believes are too expensive by spending very similar amount of money on a hockey game that I think is too expensive. So do you not understand, Dancing Snowtail, here, what the hypocritical it is like here? Like this is, you can't go on one hand, you can't go and criticize somebody for the amount of money that they're spending on something that you don't agree with, and then spend as much money on something else that to me doesn't matter either. I would never spend $2,000 or anywhere between $1,300 to $4,500 on a hockey tickets. I never would, because that money is a shit ton of money that I could use for my family instead, to do something concrete for my family instead. And the reason I brought up the 23% of Canadians, or 8.7 million, did I say Canadians? I think I did, but 8.7 million Canadians, or 23% of the Canadian population, is struggling to afford basic necessities. So if you say that as a party leader, you are like them, that you're one of the people, that you care about the people in Canada, about Canadians, don't you find it hypocritical to go spend money on something that the average Canadian can't afford? This is my point. I'm not saying that he should or shouldn't. All I'm pointing out is that there is something hypocritical in a leader calling another leader on the price of his boots when he spends an insane amount of money, if you ask me, on the hockey tickets. Doesn't matter to me. Mark Carney can wear $10,000 boots if he cares, if that's what he wants. I don't care. He could have spent, Pierre Poilievre could have spent $4,500 like this other guy was saying that he actually spent on it. That's fine. But if you're going to call people out, make sure that you don't do the same fucking thing as them. That's the point. And that's the point. And the fact that I agree with Pierre Poilievre on more policies than I do Mark Carney will never stop me from calling him out. That's the point I'm trying to make here. It's our job as citizens. It's our job as the voters. It's our job as the taxpayers to call out our leaders, no matter who they are. And that's the point I was trying to make, Dancing Snowtail. So man, again with this Snowtail, Dancing Shadowtail. So I'm hoping that what I'm telling you makes sense. Let's see here again, completely hypocritical, but I suspect the poster will use this to avoid addressing things. But of course, and you know what? You're probably absolutely right. And if we go back, let me find this again. This is why. So, there's a few things I want us to consider here. Not only is this hypocritical, that whole situation between Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney, but don't trust everything you see online. I didn't trust that $4,500. I didn't. I really did not, because I did the research. It probably took me half an hour to 45 minutes to find all those tickets, those ticket price, because that event is gone. So normally those ticket, the price of the tickets, they disappear, right? Because I can't buy them anymore, so I can't confirm. So I had to do a lot of research this morning in order to confirm that price. He said $4,500. I doubt it. I doubted that it was that much. To me, it was more somewhere $1,300 to maybe $2,000, $2,500. But the point in the matter is, one called another one a hypocrite. Like, one called out, and Pierre Poilievre called out Mark Carney for being like Justin Trudeau and spending $2,000 on a pair of boots, while he turns around and goes spend let's call it $1,300. Let's call it $2,000, somewhere in the middle. He spends $2,000 on the hockey tickets while complaining that the other guy spent $2,000 on boots, while he could have simply watched the game from a pub and stay with the people from his rally. That's my point. That is my point. If you really care about the people, you're going to make it about the people. And this is my biggest problem with politicians altogether. And this is not about left versus right. It's politicians as a whole. I dislike career politicians. I dislike people that are in politics to make money, that's their main source of income, or at least used to be their main source of income. Because, in my humble opinion, if you want to serve the public, it should cost you something. It should be something that is a chore for you to do. You shouldn't want to serve your people because you might make money off of it or you might become rich off of it. You should want to serve the people because it is the right thing to do, because you have the knowledge, you have the understanding, you have the charisma, you have the tools, the God-given tools to help others. That should always be your main priority, is to do what's right for the people and not for your pockets. And how many of you can name me a career politician that really seemed to care about people? I can't. I really can't. I might be wrong, but I cannot think of one as we speak right now that seems to have the interests of the people, the best interest of the people. And that could be a question for you guys for another episode, or send Rob and I a text, a message on whatever platform you use. On X, you can reach Rob at the Rob the Builder, Rob_the Builder. I'm at Real Nico Lagan on every single platform out there. You can find us at Political Orphans on X on YouTube. But I'd like to hear from you guys. Not only for the question of the day, as in, should you call out your leaders, even if you voted for them? When you disagree with them, should you call them out for what they're doing and tell them you don't agree with them? And can you think of a career politician that you actually agree with, that you actually believe that they have the best interest of the people, that they are doing what's right for the citizen of their country? That's the question I have for you. Let's see if Dancing Shadowtail, a lot of what's here is nonsense. I need to confirm if this is true. Hey, brother, ain't that the truth? Most of the things you see online is nonsense. That's why it's important for you to not just repost what people tell you. And I invite you to do the same thing with me. If you see something that I've said, question it. Don't believe it. Don't believe me because I said it. Doubt what I told you. I want you to confirm if what I said is true or not. Don't take it for granted because it's me or because it's Rob. Question us. Question everything you see online, just like I did with that post. I did the research to see how much the hockey tickets were. I didn't just trust him because I agreed with his post. So don't agree with me just because you like me or I seem to know what I'm talking about, because for all you know, I'm full of shit. For all you know, I have no clue what the fuck I'm talking about. And it's not because I have an audience that you should believe what I'm saying, because unfortunately, that's exactly how mainstream media is still able to convince people that they're right. Because we assume that because they have a massive platform that they're right. And this goes to MSNBC as much as it goes for Fox News. I look at the news from every single fucking perspective possible. Left, right, middle. I don't trust a certain platform over another. I will look at everything that's out there, and I want you to do the same. I want you to question everything that you hear. I want you to question the narrative as a whole. I want you to do your research and to see if this is true or not. Not because you trust the source, because you trust your own opinion, because it is backed by research and facts. And please, don't be scared to engage with people that you don't agree with. Look at what's going on right now. Dancing Shadowtail does not agree with me. Well, he agreed with me to a certain extent, it seems like. And sorry, I'm not laughing at you, bro. It's just, it makes me happy to speak to people that are not on the same political spectrum as I am, but yet we can have a conversation, because you know what? I'm a polite individual. It seems that you're a polite individual too. And this is what is needed to drive a conversation, to be able to have those hard conversations where people don't agree. And clearly, Dancing Shadowtail and I don't agree. To a certain extent, we do, but to a certain extent, we don't. And this is a beautiful thing. This is exactly what I was saying. If you do your own research, if you understand why you feel a certain way, because you know what, let me rephrase that, not because you feel a certain way. If you have a strong opinion about something and you will stand by it because you know that it is based on research and not just your emotions, not just how you feel about something, you should invite debates. You should invite conversation with people that you don't agree with. Because how can you really truly believe in something if you're not ready to defend it? Like in the same way as I made that post this morning about what I've been talking about for about 40 minutes now, 45 minutes. I criticized the Conservative Party, and all I could see from the comments are conservatives complaining about what I said. Like some people are saying that I'm going to sway votes to the left because I'm criticizing the right. So it's not even the left that's criticizing me right now. Actually, Dancing Shadowtail is a lefty. And it seems that him and I are able to have a conversation without him calling me names because he disagrees with me. So this is great. This is exactly how it should be. Yet most people will insult you, will criticize you, will call you name just because they don't agree with you. And unfortunately, this morning, a lot of the comments weren't very nice, but you know, it's okay. I do this for a living, so I'm used to people shitting on me. But at the same time, those are the conversations we need to have. And if I am complaining about something the conservatives or the right or the Republican is doing, the Republicans are doing, and I get hated for it, that's fine. No problem. I don't have any affiliations with them. Same thing as I will criticize the left for when they're talking crazy. But at the same time, when they're right, they're right. When they're wrong, they're wrong. Don't care that you're left, right, or middle. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. As one of my friends said to me years ago, there's no such thing as great men, just great ideas. So don't care if I like you or not as a person. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. How I feel about you as an individual has no impact on a logic response. So, Dancing Shadowtail, I want to really, really thank you for all your messages. I'm really happy that you disagreed with me, that you actually helped me drive the conversation because Rob's not here today. He is at his girlfriend, and it seems that he was having internet problems, so he just ditched me. So you guys got to endure or enjoy. It depends how you see it, depends on the person. But you guys got to endure/enjoy today's show with yours truly, me. But I want to say to every single person that's out there that's been listening to this, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Rob will be here tomorrow. Oh, by the way, before I forget, perfect time to speak about this. Tomorrow, Rob and I are joined by Maxime Bernier. He is the leader of the People's Party of Canada. He is an ex-conservative. He was in the race to become the conservative leader back in 2017, if my memory serves me right. But he lost, and he left the party to start his own political party, the People's Party of Canada. And we're going to be able to talk to him tomorrow live on the podcast. So if you guys have questions for him, let us know. We will be picking one question from you guys that we will ask Maxime Bernier tomorrow. But the whole goal of this interview is to show you something else than the conservative and the liberals. Like to show you somebody that is more right than a conservative. He's actually closer to what Donald Trump is in the US. So this is the guy we're going to have on the show tomorrow. We want to hear from you guys. We want you to ask us what you would like. No, you tell us what you would like us to ask him. We will pick one of your questions and we'll ask him. It's not a scripted interview. Believe me that as much as I like Maxime Bernier as a politician, I'll be the first one to rip into him if I don't agree with him. And Rob being a lefty, he's going to ask him some hard questions too. So join us tomorrow, noon Eastern, live right here, wherever you're watching this from right now. We will be live from that same platform with Maxime Bernier tomorrow. Join us. Tell us if you have any questions. And before I let you go, one more thing. Just one more thing. If you like this show, if you like what Rob and I are doing, please follow us at the Political Orphans on X as well as on YouTube. Make sure to follow Rob on X at Rob_the_builder and follow me on every single social media platform out there at Real Nico Lagan. And as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time with, I was going to say us, but me today. Thank you for your comments. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, guys.